Process. Hey, we're
Pro-
live, just letting you know.
proce-
But I'll just
process
let it
over
run.
outcome. Process
Yeah,
over outcome.
yeah,
That's what I'm talking about, JMO.
yeah, dude. Went to
What's up, man? How'd the weekend turn out for y'all?
first. Did do I have an echo, or is there like an echo on me, or do you hear an echo at all when you talk? So say something
The,
for me.
there's not an echo, but you. What's up? What's up? Hello.
Can you hear me?
Okay, I got off my Wi-Fi because you weren't synced up with your mouth wasn't synced up with your voice.
Okay. Uh, what about now?
I think we're chilling now. Yeah, I think we're good now.
A little better. Okay.
Yeah.
Um. Okay. If not, that's not the. I'm not too worried about that. The reason the last one didn't work is because whenever you were speaking, there was a. I think it was just the hotel room that was messing with it, but
Yeah, maybe so.
yeah, I think we're good now. But yeah, man, weekend ended up good, dude. We ended up winning. I think the night that we talked, so that Saturday, and then Sunday we were up.
Cool.
We were up 5-2, and I think the seventh inning, or yeah, eighth inning,
Uh,
and ended up losing a tough one in extras. But is what it is, man. Is what it is. Got to
yeah.
went to Universal Studios for the first time in like 13 years today, bro. Because our funnily enough, my roommate is Trey Faltine. If you remember that name, he was Texas's shortstop,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
he got us free tickets there. So we went, dude, and I felt like a little kid again, bro,
Sweet.
riding those roller coasters. So
Yeah.
it was,
How do you get
yeah, bro.
free tickets?
Oh, just him being
Did you say
Trey.
he got y'all free tickets?
Yeah, him being Trey, dude.
Uh,
We were playing Friday. We were playing Jupiter Friday, and there was this camera girl, and he wasn't playing, and the camera girl was at the end of the dugout, and he was just talking to her, and she, she was just like, yeah, yeah, I work over at Universal Studios, so if you ever want free tickets, he was like, free tickets, like,
yeah.
I got to get on that.
Yeah,
So
we do.
yeah, so yeah, he somehow arranged that, man, and got us free tickets, and here we are. They left, I think, a little while ago, but me and this pitcher on our team actually headed back a little early just because I want to get ready for the week and all that good stuff. But they'll be back shortly. But yeah, man, that's how it ended up. And
Cool.
for those of you tuning in, this is Rody Barker. Rody was a teammate of mine at Texas A&M. He's currently a professional bronc rider and grew up doing it. Has a family in professional bull riding, or a family history of professional bull riding. Went to Tybee High School. Grew up in Kerrville, same town as for you A&M listeners out there, or for really anybody, as Johnny Manziel, Money Manziel, baby. So
Yeah.
um, Rhodey's one of my closest friends from college, and just all around great dude. And we originally had this, and if you're watching this, this is not the same backdrop that you'll see in the clips that'll be posted on Instagram or social media, just because we had some technical malfunctions, still figuring this thing out. Both of us are new to it, so we're redoing it. So we'll probably share some of the
Yep.
same stories and stuff that we didn't necessarily hit on. We'll talk about. So, Rody, thanks for getting back on, man.
Yeah, J-Mo. Thanks for having me, brother. Good to
Yeah,
be
dude.
back.
Yeah, that's exactly right. How's your weekend going, man?
Oh, it went great. Went great. Hung out with some friends. My roommate, it was his birthday this weekend. He shares a birthday with my older brother, but my older brother was down in San Antonio with
Yep.
the family, and I just wasn't gonna make it over there because you got work to do. You know how it is.
That's right. That's
But
right.
anyways, turned out good. Nice chill weekend, dude. Over here in College Station, it rained all week last week, and
Yep.
then yesterday we went to the pool, and we were there for like an hour, and it was sunny, not a cloud in the sky. And then the next thing you know, it was just dumping rain again. I was like, gosh, dang it. All right, it's not meant to be.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
But yeah, man.
yeah. Sounds a lot like Florida right now, man. Just every single day there's a chance for a rain rain out or a rain delay of some sort, dude. So could literally, it's the easiest weatherman
Yeah.
job in the world. Just like 50% chance of rain every day. Done rain, done rain. Yeah,
Yeah, no
it's there
kidding.
we go, dude.
No kidding.
Yeah, but but yeah, man. So everything's still good
Yeah.
from 48 hours ago since we last talked, or
Oh yeah. Everything's great, dude. Everything's great. I'm over here about to been I actually worked a baseball camp this morning.
are you
It
done?
was interesting. Saw our boy Mike. Yeah, Marshall was at the
Over at
camp.
A&M?
So talk
Did you work it over
it
at
was
A&M?
like is at the lab.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Is
yeah,
at the
yeah, yeah.
lab. You know where that's at?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Trevor and Brett worked at 12. Me and Brett worked at 12 this off season, so a little different,
Oh,
but
okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, no, I know where that's at, right? I know of it because Trevor was working there this off season. Trevor was my roommate, so I saw him a couple of times. But
Yeah.
nice, nice. You've been
Yeah.
over. You've been
No,
over
dude,
to
it's a super nice facility.
yeah. You've been over to A&M at all since Early got the job?
No, dude, I haven't. Like, I texted him right whenever he got the job, and I was like, "Oh, the old Uno reverse, that a boy, congrats!" And anyways, it took him like 3 weeks to get back to me, which I'm sure he got like 200 of the same text messages, and so
Yeah,
I wasn't too worried about it. But he ended up texting me back, and then he showed up this morning, and I was like, "Okay, cool, what's up, Mike?" But
yeah.
no, I figured that they're super busy, dude. Like, I'm
Oh
not gonna
yeah,
go up there and just I'll kick it with them one day this fall, but you know, right now I'm sure they have their hands full. Like I think he had 2 or 3 visits today. Whenever I asked him what they had on the docket, and I was like, "Hey, good luck."
yeah. No,
But
he was texting me. He'll text. Well, he actually texted me yesterday for this guy that was from Colorado and he moved to Arizona. I think his junior year of high school. I think he's a senior now, but he reopened his
okay,
commitment, and I guess Mike really likes him, and he just wanted to pass his number along to me. So
uh huh,
just to hit him up or all that good stuff. So you know how it is, man. Recruiting's crazy, but yeah, you're exactly right, dude. I texted Mike and I was like, hey, man,
yep,
would love to, and I know you're busy, but would love to have you on and just talk. I think it'd be cool for A&M fans to hear it and all that
uh
good
huh,
stuff, or especially just not even that, just personally between Mike and I, because of our relationship goes back to Arizona State and before that of recruiting me at
yeah,
Arizona State. That process, I think it'd be cool. But he was like, anyways, make a long story short, he just basically said like, yeah, dude, I don't have an hour right now. I was like, bro, I
yeah,
don't doubt that at all. So I don't doubt that at all. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Maybe like Christmas break comes up, you can probably get them on.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean,
But
I
anyways,
that's the part that you and I don't really see because, or at least I felt when we were in school that they always did a good job of separating the two between taking, Schloss always said, taking care of the team on the field and then taking care of the team that's coming to the field. And I never really felt like
yeah,
those two coincided unless, of course, I remember my first year there, dude. I don't know how it was for you, but I think I literally I was with a recruit every single weekend and having to go to those dinners and going to the football games and
uh
handling
huh,
official visits and all that stuff. Or that was my sophomore year, dude. And I was, it was interesting. It was fun, but it's cool though. It's cool. It's cool. It's part of the
yeah.
experience.
I had to do that. I had to do that my first year at A&M. But I I think because it was like my last year at A&M, and I wasn't like Sloss didn't bring me in, so I wasn't
Yeah.
a guy that he had recruited. It was just like I was already there. I wasn't really part of that, but I did think that it was cool, like how he like it was like you said, completely separate. I never
Right.
got the feeling that he was looking to a next year or more excited about another team coming in. It was always like around the team, it was, hey, be where your feet are
Right.
here and now. Let's get after it. And then the next thing you know, like I see on Twitter after practice that we just signed some huge recruit. And I'm like, cool,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Like I guess Kane was on the phone during, one of our water breaks or something.
Yeah. I'll never forget. I'll never forget, man, when we were in Omaha that 2022 year. I think had just gotten done beating Texas, and I remember getting in the car. I think I was with like my family
Okay.
or my dad or somebody, and we drive down a block, and I turn, and I'm just like looking around and looking, just kind of at the city or where we were staying, and sure enough, I see Kane just kind of in this like back behind a building, just like on the phone talking, obviously with a recruit, and I was like, dude, it's crazy, man. It never stops, bro. It never stops. So that's just part of the job, I guess. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's why that's why they're really
Yeah.
really good at what
Yeah.
they
I
do.
think Mike's going to do really good.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Like, I think that people are going to be pleasantly surprised with Mike because he wasn't really the coach that, other than the hitting, but like in terms of recruiting and everything, like, I didn't really feel like he got the credit that he was due the past 3 years. But Kali, like, I think people are going to be surprised. I think he's going to kill it. Absolutely.
well, dude, I mean, he's already killing it. Like he pretty much got the whole
Yeah.
team back. He got the core group of guys from that 24 team, and dude, he's getting guys that I'm like, he's getting all these transfer guys, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, bro, where's this guy gonna play, dude? Like, this guy has so much depth on his team,
Yeah.
it's insane. I was like, this guy got this awesome prospect,
Yeah.
and I was like, dude, I feel like we've already got like three shortstops that are all like all American type players, bro. Like, but
Oh, dude. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
I
but
saw
yeah,
that
man.
Ali was coming back. This was before the draft or
Hmm.
whatever, and then they signed that other shortstop from Penn, and then another guy. But is Ali? Is he going? Do you know?
Yeah, he
Did he
signed.
sign or
He
no?
signed. He signed. Yeah, he
Oh,
signed.
okay. I kind of figured he would. That guy's salty.
Yeah, no, he can pick it, dude. He can swing it. He can pick it. He's a good player. He's a good player. But yeah, man,
Yeah.
I'm happy for him, dude. I that team next year, man, and the other part of it too is they have not only, I guess, on the administration side of it too, is they have Jason Kelly, who was my pitching coach when I was at Arizona State, and
Uh
he
huh.
was the head coach at Washington for the last 2 years, and he's awesome. He's a great dude, great
Yeah.
coach,
Yeah.
and I think just
Cool.
in the I'm sure that he's been really really helpful in the side of not only just the player development piece for Mike, but the side of like handling all of the things that you don't necessarily the things that aren't the most entertaining to talk about, like I don't know, setting a schedule, for example,
Yeah.
like just stuff like that, just little things that
Yeah.
I'm sure he's helping Mike with. So, or unless Mike already knows all that
Yeah.
stuff, I wouldn't be surprised. But
Yeah. I also think he'll be good for him. Like, I like to call it the politician side of the job, which I thought Schloss was really good at. Like handling everything that's like university and donors and everyone outside of the program, everything that's related to that. Like, I say outside of the program, outside of the team, right? I feel like him hiring a guy that's dealt with that, being a head coach, like, is going to be huge to have in his corner. Mike saw it all, but obviously, whenever you're a first time like head coach, you're still
yeah,
going to have a bit of a learning curve. So I thought that was a huge hire for him. That was,
for
I mean,
sure.
playing chess over here, man.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right, man. And I also, too, man, I know we talked about this, and I guess the people listening won't. Uh, and yeah, you and I talked about a couple of these things a couple of days ago. But the other side of this too, man, is Schloss, and I still, and don't get me wrong, like I guarantee that he probably wishes he could have handled that situation, differently looking back on it. And I'm sure that there are things that a lot of people don't know about, and a lot of people don't understand the full scope of the picture. And I'm
Yeah,
sure there's things in that last interview that
yeah,
he wishes that he could change. But I think all of us can say that at some point about something that we've done. And
yeah,
I also like
yeah,
362 days out of the year, man. Like I want him to do well. I want Kane to do well. I want Box to do well. I want those
yeah,
guys to do well, just because they were so instrumental in helping in the
yeah,
3 years that they were at A&M. There was never a time where I felt like their attention was anywhere other than where it needed to be, and that was helping us win baseball games. And you know, sure enough, if he goes anywhere else or the situation is any different, then I'm sure people are still upset, but not as upset as going to the cross-state rival. But I
Yeah,
look like I enjoyed playing for him. I know you can relate to this as well. He was incredibly tough on both of us and incredibly tough on
yeah,
everybody. And I think that was something that I really appreciated
yeah,
About Schloss, because it wasn't just that he was holding one person to a standard. It was the whole team had to adhere to the standard. And if you weren't adhering to the standard, you were going to hear about it.
yeah,
And it wasn't always comfortable. And don't get me wrong, man, nobody wants to be the guy getting screamed at in the middle of a drill because you mess up. I don't care what you say or how tough you think you are. Like, you don't want to be letting your teammates down, or, thinking that you're looking stupid. But that was the standard that he'd set. And he always said that, and I'll let you speak in a
yeah.
minute. He um he always
No,
said
you're
that
good.
it was more about being a transformational program as opposed to a transactional program, and especially in professional baseball, dude. I couldn't find that more
Mhm.
applicable, just in the sense of when I came at A&M. And obviously I grew up a lot at Arizona State just because I was a freshman there, and that was my first time being away from home extensively. But when I went to A&M, it was a new level of accountability that he brought on his players. And the simplest of those things was just not having your phone in the locker room, which I remember how difficult that was for me, or to have your attention
Yeah,
to be in the same place
yeah,
and not have it be pulled by 50 other things when you go to a baseball field. Like he said that should be the best part of your day, and I always took that to heart.
yeah. And dude, I agree. Like, we had the saying, and you know it, but like the standard you walk by is the new standard that you set. We said that all the time, and he stood by it, and he lived it out every day. And it didn't matter who you were, if you played every day like you, or if you were a guy like me that didn't really see the field all that much. We were held to the same standard.
Yeah,
It didn't matter if it was not having your phone in the locker room, keeping your locker tidy, or if it was big things like, I don't know. I don't know what you would consider a big thing because everything seemed the exact same with him. Like cleaning up the kitchen or whatever. Like, I don't, it didn't matter the standard. It didn't matter who you were. Like, the standard was the standard, and he made it evident. It was like what we talked about the other day, but if he walked by a cage and saw you take off a rep in the cage whenever you're
yeah,
doing stuff by yourself, like, he didn't let it slide. Like, he would stop what he was doing and he would make a point to address it and be like, hey, was that a strike? Or, hey, why are you
yeah,
swinging at that strike? That's not the strike that we want to be swinging at. You know what I mean? Like, we're looking to hit a 3.5 on the plate, and we're not looking to hit a 1 ball or a 7. You know what I mean? Like, in terms of strikes, and you know what I'm talking about.
yeah,
But I appreciated that he was a coach that you did have to have a thick skin because all of us were very high performers. We all held ourselves to a very high standard. And he was not afraid to just stop practice and call you out right there in front of everybody else. Like, all your boys, everyone's alphas. Like,
yeah,
he would make you feel sometimes like you were this big. But then it was whenever you did something good, I'm not saying that he was the rah coach. He would acknowledge it.
yeah.
He
He
also
did.
expected it from you too.
Yeah,
And so, me being a player that, you know, I have been at A&M for 2 years now, take the COVID year out, but the year after COVID, we were horrible. We didn't even make the SEC tournament. And I was now going into my last year of playing collegiate baseball. I just wanted to win. I wanted a coach that, you know, nothing against the other coaches because they did value winning, but like, this guy was all about business, and it was nice to have a fresh face, a fresh team. He The culture starts from the top, and he set those standards, and he did not waver from them, and then it just kind of bled into us. And I mean, we talked about it all the time. We would joke about the standards. We joke about how all the coaches would really go about stuff, but it wasn't like a condescending joking as a team. It was like, hey, we're joking, but like, haha, like, we better adhere to these standards type of thing.
yeah,
And so it was fun. We kind of bonded over the fact that none of us were above the others.
mm,
That at some point or another, like, we could all think of a time that, you know, he would he had ripped into any one of us. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
so the move that he made was never going to be popular
Right.
ever.
Mhm.
Of course,
Yeah.
he'll be the first one to tell you that he wishes that he could have gone about that final interview a little bit better, because I think that's really the only thing that like really got everyone mad
Yeah.
about it. But hey, everybody makes mistakes. It is what it is. He apologized. It's no big, no big deal. Like, we move on. The series is still going to be tough for Texas whenever the two schools play each other this next year. I mean, it always is. But whenever people start telling or start mentioning that he had 1 foot out the door
Nah, that's not
come
true.
Omaha
That's not true.
while the players are playing,
Nah, that's not true.
there is not, never for a second have I ever thought that. Will I ever think that?
No.
Even if those talks happened at the beginning of last year, which they there's no way that they did, but even if they did at the beginning of last year, there's no way for a second that that guy ever had 1 foot out the door, because like, he'll be the first person to tell you that he doesn't have hobbies. Like, baseball is his hobby. So
Right.
for someone to say, "Oh, this guy he didn't care about winning," you obviously have not played for him. Like, that's the only thing that this guy cares about for the most part.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
dude.
say the
Well,
only thing,
no,
but
right. But
it's up there. That's his
he's
job. It's to win
right.
games.
Right. And it's not that you're absolutely right. Like, it's not that it's the only thing he cares about, but it's the only thing he cares about when he's at the baseball field. And I never felt like when we
Yes.
were there, his attention was pulled by anything else. Like, maybe there were some days, like every human being ever, that he would be a little more pissed off than others. And like, if you didn't get a bunt down in round one, then you'd hear about it instantly. And as opposed to like another day where it'd be like, hey, like,
Uh
just get
huh.
it down. But maybe like little things like that, maybe. But
Yeah.
dude, the only part of that got me frustrated was you just see these guys that have never played for him, that played at A&M, who are just ripping the guy and just saying all these things that are just not
Yeah.
true. And like, look, I don't like that he went to Texas. Like, I don't think that anybody that loves A&M
Yeah.
likes the fact that he went to Texas. I'll be the first one to tell you that I wish he was an Aggie for the rest of his coaching career and just rode off into the sunset, and A&M wins 5 national championships, call it good. And I think that everybody wanted that. And you're absolutely right. Like, am I
Yeah.
disappointed that he went to Texas? Of course. And I'd tell that to him. I'd tell that to his face, 100%. And I don't think he would have a problem hearing that
Yeah.
because he respects
And
us. And
I
yeah,
was about to
but
say he wouldn't expect anything else.
yeah, but at the end of the day, man, like, he does, like, what people also don't necessarily realize all the time or in the heat of the moment is that, like, look, like, yeah, he said some things to, in that interview that turned out to, I don't know, turned out less than 24 hours later to, really, really just kind of not be the best situation in terms of everything that happened. But I don't know, man. If
Uh,
the way I look at it is if it is a job, and he's got to do what's best for him and his family. And I don't think that anybody would disagree with that statement in terms of just doing what's best for you and your family, because people also don't realize is that this is a business, and especially college athletics now, it's
yeah.
entirely a business. There's no
Yeah.
amateur there's no amateurism left in collegiate athletics. It's entirely how
Yeah.
much money you can make. What are you going to win this year? You don't have time to develop a program. You have to win now, especially at Texas A&M.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
and he felt that it was the best business move to go to Texas. And when you put the reasoning
Yeah.
and wording like that, it's like, man, like, wish him the best, and you know, it is what it is. But I just feel like we had to address that a little bit. But you know,
Yeah. Yeah. No, no doubt. Like, it is a business decision. It is what, you know, he felt was best for his career and what he wanted to do. And I mean, what are you going to do? Are you going to feel sorry for yourself? Are you going to be stoked about the new head coach and the new coaching staff and the new team that we have this year? And hey, we're going
that's
to play
exactly
Aggie
right.
baseball the Mike
Yeah.
Early way, which I, people are going to
Love.
be pleasantly surprised. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So whatever.
Yeah. So
So
just kind of
yeah,
diverting
man.
off just kind of diverting off track from baseball a little bit, just because there will be clips up on social media about your bull riding and bronc riding experiences. But just can you kind of walk the folks through your childhood, just kind of being brought up in bull riding, bronc riding, your family background in it? I know we talked about this a couple days ago. Just run us through just your experiences growing up and your experiences after 2022, and just kind of leave the floor to you.
Yeah, man. So like you said, my whole family rodeos. My dad rode bulls. My uncle rode bulls. My brother's been to the NFR and the bull riding a couple times. My cousin 3 times. My other cousin was a champion bareback rider, and so it's kind of in the family, right? And I grew up riding sheep. Not to toot my own horn, I was probably the best mutton buster this side of the big river, and rode calves. And then I got kind of like to steers, and the youth rodeos and baseball tournaments were always on the weekends. And whereas my brother playing both sports growing up, whenever it came time to, hey, like if I want to get good at one of these, I kind of have to make a decision right now, because I'm at that. It was kind of that point where you're like 10, 11 years old, 12 years old, where, okay, there's people that are starting to get good, right? And I love baseball way more. And so I was like, I didn't want to say, say it at first. My parents never forced me one way or the other, but I finally, gutted up and went to my dad. My dad asked me one day, he was like, "Hey, what do you think you want to do?" And I was like, "I think I want to play baseball." Next thing you know, we were cutting down cedar trees at a friend of ours' ranch. My old baseball coach he had an old batting cage that was under his barn that he had taken down a couple years prior, and my dad and I made this batting cage. I kid you not, out of like we went into this cedar tree forest pretty much
Wow.
and found the tallest, straightest trees we could find, cut them down with chainsaws, hauled them off in a trailer back to the house. It was my job as like a 10-year-old to cut off all the limbs, kind of scrape them down, dig the post holes, put them in there. My dad helped me set the concrete, and we just rigged up this batting cage that I would spend like every day after school. I'd get up early before school, and I'd be hitting in this thing. And like we didn't have a lawnmower. We had what you call a sickle uh to cut grass, and you
Yeah.
just walk around swinging it and it cuts the
Swing it. Yep.
grass. And so every day, but before I would hit, so after school, before I'd start hitting, I would cut down some of the tall weeds that were in the cage. And over time, picking up scrap pieces of carpet on the side of the road, all this stuff made my batting cage. Loved it. Spent every, dang near every night either in that cage or at lessons, and never really thought about rodeo again. And then went to the Cheyenne Frontier Days freshman year of college to watch my brother ride there. And I was like, dang, like, this is cool. Like, I love this. And it was just kind of one of those deals that I kept talking to my brother. I was like, yeah, like, I'll ride bucking horses one day. It can't be that hard or whatever. And we just joke about it. We've been joking about it for years. And then baseball kind of came to an end. I wasn't really, happy about it just because we didn't end up winning. And it's
Yeah.
like we were so close.
Yep.
And like, I don't know, he just kind of called my bluff, to be quite honest. And he was like, "Well, you said you were gonna ride bucking horses, why don't you just ride some bucking horses?" And I was like, "Well, if you could do it, I could do it." And one thing led to another. Was helping my cousin like break some of his colts. I say break. He was doing the breaking. I would just kind of ride them around while they, hopped up a little bit and didn't like the saddle. And then he sent me off to get on horses at like a camp, pretty much
Mm.
a couple hours north of College Station at this stock contractor's house. And I'd never been on a bucking horse. I'd never been on a spur board. Never even knew a spur board existed, which is like the equivalent of a baseball tee, but for riding bucking horses.
Right.
So I get to this thing. My cousin, one of my cousin's really good friends, he's been to the NFR 9 times. Kind of been there, done that in the rodeo world, face of rodeo type of person. And he like takes me under his wing. He's like, "Hey, you're gonna you're going to be with me this whole weekend. I'm like, hey, sweet. We ended up being very similar personalities and kind of hit it off as friends. But he puts me on a spur board that morning for the first time. He was like, dang, that was really good. And I was like, okay, cool. I mean, he was like, so how long you been riding a spur board? I was like, dude, this is the first time I've seen a
First
spur
time.
board. Do you think Clayton
Yeah.
my cousin Clayton, he's like, I was like, yeah, I was like, you think that Clayton put me on a spur board? He just told me to get on the horse and ride him. And he goes, that's about right. So about 2 hours later, they're strapping me down to my first bucking horse. I went from
Yeah.
like a T to like
In
the
'95.
semi pro, I guess. And yeah. And so I'm sitting there all pumped up. I'm jacked up. This is exactly what I wanted to do for years. I've been talking to my brother about it for years. And it's really only been my brother that's known about it up until about a couple weeks before I got on the horse. I'd already paid for the camp registration fee and everything. And so as they're pulling that rigging tight on the horse, one of the leather straps breaks because it
Oh,
was dry rot from my cousin. And so I looked at my friend, his name's Tilden. I look at Tilden and I'm like, you think it's all right? And he kind of looks at that rigging for a second. He goes, yeah, you should be
yeah.
fine. I was like, well, heck, you've done this more than I have. I guess I'll be fine. So I wedged my hand in there, which, like, if you don't know what it's like, you're pretty much holding on to a suitcase handle, and your glove is made to where like you have to wedge that thing in there, and then you're locked in. So I wedge it in there, and I slide up, and I nod my head, and as soon as that horse broke over and bucked, I brought my feet up, and I just kept flying. That leather had snapped again, and I'm like flying through the air, and I felt like Ricky Bobby. I was like, "Yep, I'm flying through the air. This isn't good." And I land on my back. I don't have a breath of air in me. Like I swear I broke a rib probably because I could hardly breathe for like the next 2 months. But I didn't know it at the time. I just kind of figured, hey, I got thrown off in the air and landed on my back. Of course, I'm not going to have any air.
Yeah.
So I look back there and I'm like, you son of a. And they're like, are you okay? I'm like, just load him back up. Just load the horse back up. And so they're like, all right, I guess we'll just load him back up. And so they load him back up. I ride the horse, get my hand out, get off on the pickup man, and everybody's going crazy. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, when do
That's
you put
awesome.
me on like an NFR horse? And because they all started laughing, but then I proceeded to get hung up a couple times, got drug around by a horse another time. Like, it was an experience. Like,
Yeah.
minus a horse flipping on you, like it was an experience. My hand was messed up for like about 4 months after that, and swollen. Just for sure, stuff was messed up in there. But the only surgeon that I really knew, or like doctor that I really knew to like look at it, like I couldn't bring myself to like go in there and tell him like, hey, I got on a bucking horse and hurt my hand. And so I just kind of wrote it out. Anyways, get on a few more horses once it got better. And I sent a video to my cousin. He was like, hey, you need to start entering rodeos. And mind you, I'd only been on about 12, 13 horses, I think, at this point, totally from the very first horse to now.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, dang, like, one, I don't know where to go online. Who do I call to enter? Once I do enter, like, how do I go about doing it? I didn't know anything.
Yeah.
Like, and so I tell him that, and he's like, well, let me call you back. So this is on a Tuesday. He calls me the next day. And he goes, hey, you're entered in this rodeo Friday night at 7:30. Be there. And I'm like, well, hey, you're coming with me. He goes, what? He goes, why? I was like, Clayton, I don't know how to put the rigging on the horse. Like, I don't know anything. Like, I show up. What do I do? Who do I talk to? Where do I pay my fee? What, like, so he's like, fine, fine, fine. Just pick me up and I'll go with you. So we go over to this rodeo, and he does everything for me.
Yeah.
Like, he puts the rigging on the horse. I'm sitting there in the like in the chute on the horse, and that horse is like, he had like fallen down, laid down, reared up, dang near flipped on me in the chutes,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's just a cluster. That stock contractor, he goes, if you could just get out on him, Rody, I'll give you a free roll, which I had never even heard the term. And I looked up at him and I was all mad. I was like, Johnny, I don't know what the hell a free roll is. And my cousin is on the back of the chute holding this horse's tail, and he was like, "Just slide up there and nod your head," because he's pissed off that it's like taking so long. So I was like, "Fine." So I just slid up there and nodded my head, and I ended up winning the rodeo. And I was like, "Dang, that was a quick $1,000, like easy enough." And so went ahead, like had a lot of growing pains doing like the semi-pro stuff
Oh
last
yeah.
year. I won Rookie of the Year. So I was rodeoing in two semi-pro like organizations, one in Texas, and then the other one is like Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Louisiana. And I won Rookie of the Year in both of them last year. And so then I bought my permit to rodeo professionally, and that's what I've been doing this year
Wow.
exclusively, really. And so like
Yep.
I'm riding professionally, but it's not like a rookie year. It's almost like I don't know how you describe it because you're pretty much playing in the big leagues against you know everyone you can imagine, like the Houston Astros and the Mariners and the Reds. But like you yourself are not actually a big leaguer yet,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so um, it's almost like you're gaining experience, kind of making a name for yourself, letting the judges see who you are, see how you go about your business, see what kind of skill level you are. They kind of learn your story type of thing because it's a judged event. And
Right.
so, like, you really only get one chance to make a first impression. And so, if they see you, then like and they know who you are and they know how you are in terms of writing abilities, it kind of gives them an idea of what to expect. I mean, they only get 8 seconds to be judging, your form, the horse, how hard the horse is bucking, did you do all the technicalities right, like all this stuff right.
Yeah.
They only get 8 seconds, so it kind of gives them an idea. The permit year gives you kind of like not breathing room, what's the word I'm looking for, like um not leeway, but you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, to like go out there, showcase your skills, kind of make a name for yourself and go about it like that. So that's what I've been doing this past year while I've been doing some other jobs on the side and all that good stuff. Doing some baseball lessons. Can't let it go. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Exactly right, man. Exactly
I
right.
feel I feel like whenever you're done with something, and this is just from the outside looking in, it's like you would be remiss, or at least I would be like remiss to not give back like what I learned. Like, what did I do all
Mm.
this for? Like, did I just do it for me,
Mm.
or can I, find some people, whether it just be
Mm.
lessons here and there, or say someone were to latch on to me? Like, there's a lot of stuff that I know now, having
Right.
been through the gauntlet of, the recruiting process, junior college baseball, Division 1 baseball at a high level, experiencing failure, being on a horrible team, and then, the entire flip side, being on one of the best teams, in school history type of thing, and all this stuff that you learn being an athlete and being a baseball athlete specifically, that you can just take into life, man. And it's like, I took about a year off from doing anything with baseball because I was like, I need to step away. But then I was doing lessons with some people to make some extra money and just starting to see like their success and their progress and
Yeah.
their like epiphanies type of thing. And then being able to relate that, hey, this is what you'll experience down the road. Like, I wish I had that back whenever I was younger. And so being able to
Right.
impart that knowledge and wisdom, it might be more satisfying than whenever I was actually playing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's really interesting that you say that because the only other person that I've ever heard take that approach into it was my high school baseball coach, Mark Johnson. And in the
mm,
sense of, if I really did all this for me, then what was it all really about? And if I did all of it for me, how am I going to be able to enjoy it? If even so, let's say best case scenario, you make it to the big leagues, play 20 years, are a Hall of Famer, but the problem is that you weren't a good teammate. You didn't treat your family well, and you weren't really a good friend. And I'm not saying because I've definitely been guilty of coming home and being a different person when I'm struggling. And don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
I've learned that it's not really worth it to get to the end, and it's not enjoyable if you're not enjoying it with other people. It's a totally different
Yeah.
feeling. And basically,
Yeah.
Coach Johnson, and it's funny, yeah. Well, my high school baseball coach was Mark Johnson, and not to get confused with A&M coach Mark Johnson, different
Yeah.
Mark Johnson. But I
Same
totally
person.
I
Same
forget.
person.
I totally forget that that they had the same names. But he essentially said, and he always relayed it to us, and he's a very, very wise person. I think he's coming up on 80 here. He just finished his last high school baseball
Oh,
season and
dang.
ended up winning the state championship in his last year. I think it was his ninth.
Cool.
So he would always tell us that once we're done playing baseball, we have to give back to it somehow, and that he doesn't care if we make it 15 years playing in the big leagues, which he has had guys like that. Um, Brad Lidge being one of them, a Houston Astro. And he has
Uh,
coached these really, really talented baseball players, extremely gifted that have played in the big leagues for a long time. He's like, I don't care. He's like, so long as you guys, when you're done playing, give back to the community in some way for the game. And he just always
yeah.
made it about other people. And he said it's so much more gratifying knowing that he himself wasn't a very talented baseball player, and he'd be the first one to tell you that. But he said that his best moments in baseball weren't him getting the accolades or doing something for the sport. It was him giving back to someone and watching that person grow and become a better man and become a better baseball player as a byproduct of it. So I just thought that was interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just success leaves clues, and I just figured.
Absolutely, dude. Like, I've been super blessed to have, I mean, I couldn't really tell you how many mentors, baseball,
Yeah,
life, training, faith that I've had throughout my entire baseball career. But then I look back on just my baseball coaches, like the coach that taught me how to play baseball, like he was in a non-legal way, not illegal, but like pretty much like my godfather. Like if
right.
anything would have happened to me growing
Yeah,
up, like I was going to stay with him like at their ranch. He was going to raise me type of thing.
right.
His, oldest son was my high school baseball coach, and I still talk to, both of them, but I would say, venture to say once a month or so. Uh, both of them played baseball at A&M. My high school coach, he was an All-American at A&M. Uh, and so like they were very high level baseball players. And then I get to college and it's like, I still talk to my junior college coaches once a month also,
Right.
maybe more. And
Right.
it's not even about baseball. It's about life and just seeing like the impact looking back on it that they had on me, forming me to be the man that I am today. I'm like, dang, like there's no one that as a baseball player that you spend really more time with than your coaches.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so to have the great coaches that molded me into the baseball player to get to where I was to, you know, play at Texas A&M and M and then build the relationships that I had with my teammates, but also to hold me accountable in being a man, whenever things weren't going my way and I would start to, have a pity party or whatever and they'd be the first people to be like, well, what are you going to do? You're going to cry about it or are you going to get
Yeah.
your ass out there and do something about it? And it's something that I take into my life now, that people, they always say, life ain't easy or whatever, but life isn't. And you get into it and you have all these things trying to figure out your way. It's like, now what after baseball and doing all these things? And it seems like it's like for every step you take forward, you could take two steps back, but it's like, okay, I could sit here and feel sorry for yourself and be like, I'm not where I want to be, but guess what? You're not going to get where you want to be unless you do something about it right now, unless you
Mm,
look at the positive end of things right now. You know, you could be batting 250 in life, and you have 75% of your life could be going to shit. But if you focus on that, it's going to. But if you focus on that 25%, be like, dang, look at what I'm doing good. Yes, I have room for improvement, but you know, I'm a whole lot more blessed than a whole lot of other people in this world. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I was watching church yesterday, and it was just like a service from Ben Stewart, right? And it's resonated with me, and obviously it's fresh on my brain Monday after to start the week. But he said the same thing, like you can sit here and dwell on the bad, and then you can get mad at God, and you can start talking about you know how bad your life is, and then you can take a step back and be like, well, why aren't you fixing this in the world? Why aren't you fixing that in the world? Why aren't you fixing this? And the next thing you know, all your problems don't even fall in the top 10. And it's like, oh dang, like I have a whole lot to be thankful for. I might as well focus on the good, you know, put my nose down and work my tail off and leave nothing, no regrets, leave no open doors, I guess. I don't know. But, you
Yeah.
know, you just keep pressing forward. And I think the game of baseball has a lot of similarities. And if you have good coaches and good mentors and role models moving through it, winning is, one of the most important things. If the if you're a competitor, the most important thing. But if you're not getting anything out of it, then like you said, what have you done? And then how are you going to give back? So I think it's cool. I think baseball is one of the most humbling sports in the world, and so it's awesome.
And I think you did a really good job of that. And I know I've said this a couple times, and I know we talked about that 2 days ago, but that was really evident watching you as a teammate. Is it was never a pity party for, oh, I'm not in the role that I want to be in, or what you think you should be in, or this, that, the other. It was always, hey man, it was always taking the approach of, I'm a very, very smart human being who's trying to get into medical school and has an incredible group of connections. And by the way, side story, I'll never forget how I've never seen a human being go from a 5 hour practice of getting there early, having the practice, staying after to hit. And then on top of that, I would go in to study. Me and I'm like in business 150, something like that. And I'm like walking in there thinking I have it like, oh man, long day of practice. Like, got to go study. And then there's Rody in there who has like 3 Celsiuses and freaking a bang and is like in there for 6 hours studying. And I was like,
Yeah.
bro, I don't know how this guy does it. But it just
Yeah.
always,
Shout out to
and
my
it,
boy Mikey.
yeah. And it just never felt like for 1 second that you weren't grateful for what you did have, and you were an incredibly hard worker. And I remember you being one of the strongest. I think I don't remember exactly who was the strongest on that team, but in terms of like the weight room, getting in there, and
uh,
you were a
Definitely wasn't
great.
Troy.
Had to get that
I,
one in there. I'll make sure to clip that
anyways, continue. Yeah,
part.
had to throw it out there. He's gonna send me a text if he listens to this.
Yeah, I might not send him a clip and just see if he listens to it, or just text and be like, "Hey, man, just brought your name up on here." Just
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
but but
We were workout partners, so I had to say something.
but uh, but yeah, man, it always just felt like an attitude of gratitude, and there was never a day where I saw you, even if you had whether it be in the fall or preseason, even if you didn't have the best day personally, it was how can I help the team around me, and I
Mhm.
just thought that was really special, and I think that that's a lost art because that next season's team was on paper in 2023, especially in the fall and the preseason, we were all thinking we were going to win the national
Yeah.
championship, and I'll never forget it. And Schloss told us that. He said, "This is the most talented team," and I know, and I vividly remember him telling us this is how grateful he was for the fact that we all came in there, all worked our tails off, every single day. Like there was nobody on that team for the most part. There were some guys that were more bought in than others, but there was nobody on that team that wasn't doing the work necessary to get to where we wanted to be. He comes in and is like, I'm so grateful for the fact that everybody's here, everybody's bought in, and this is the most talented team I've coached in however long he'd been doing it. And honestly, I think
Yeah.
I fully believe he was telling the truth. And that next year's team was probably, I mean, was insanely talented.
Yeah.
But that team we had in 2023 was incredible. And the problem is once we got this is what separates really good teams from teams that underperform is once you get into the games of the real season, where Schloss would call it expensive experience as opposed to inexpensive experience, when guys aren't in the lineup
Yeah.
and when guys aren't playing and when we start losing games and when it becomes a matter of I should be playing over this guy and this why is this guy getting every opportunity and guys that aren't doing as well, they aren't necessarily, they change who they are as teammates, and I've been guilty of that. I'm not gonna lie, and I could say
Yeah.
that I do my best, but no, and I had gotten much better with it in 2022, 2023, or even towards the end of my freshman year. But in high school, I wasn't very good with it because I never failed, and a lot of us can speak for that for guys that go play
Yeah.
Division One baseball. But it's a lost art to see or to have guys like you in that locker room in 2022, X in that locker room in 2022, Walker in that locker room, and I'm sure I'm forgetting several, and guys that also were playing that were really struggling in 2022 that never wavered in terms of who they were as people and teammates that kept that team so strong. And in 2023, that just wasn't the case. When
Yeah.
we had a ridiculously talented team, a lot of guys everybody worked really hard, but it was just that separator of like it just felt so different. And I remember I was DHing, and I'll finish with this. And I was DHing one game, and we had a pitcher that was out there, and he'd been kind of struggling his last couple times out. And he goes 1, 2, 3, top of the first inning, and we're like in a midweek. And I kid you not, I think maybe like two people got up to go like shake this dude's hand, and everybody else is just kind of chilling on the railing. And
Uh,
I'm sitting down on the bench, like getting ready for my at bat, and I'm like, and I just remember screaming at the dugout, like, "Hey, like this dude just went out and pitched his effing like ass off, and he's out there battling his ass off, and we got nobody
uh,
in the dugout that is going to like give this man like a high five." I was like, "What are we doing?" And that was the difference. And obviously,
yeah.
it is what it is. But that's why I tell people, man, I'm like, we don't go as far in 2022 if it wasn't for guys like Rody or guys like X or Walker or guys that weren't in the roles that they wanted to be in from a personal standpoint, but set that aside and did it for the greater good. And I just always respected that.
Yeah. Yeah, man. No, I appreciate it. I remember from like me being little, like 7 years old, the same coach that taught me how to play, Freddie, he would always say that the game knows, right? The
Yeah.
game knows who's been working hard. The game knows who's had a good attitude because he would tell us a story about his oldest son whenever he went to A&M. He went there as a freshman and he wasn't playing a whole lot at all his freshman year. He was a shortstop and a pitcher, and he would call home and, be like, well, complaining to his dad, this, that, and the other. His dad would be like, well, guess what? The game's going to know because whenever you do get your chance, it might be whenever y'all are up by 15 or down by 15. You might just get one chance whenever you get into the game, and you better make it count because if you don't, then you're not going to get the next one. You're never, even if you do well, you're not guaranteed the next one. But the game knows whenever you have been having a shit attitude, when you haven't been putting in the work, when you haven't been sincerely cheering on your teams and hoping for their success, because their success doesn't determine your success. Like,
Right.
baseball is an interesting sport where it being a team sport, it's still an individual sport. Once you step in to the batter's box, there ain't anybody else on the team that's hitting for you. Like, it's you. It's you versus the baseball. And so that's what I really enjoyed about the game. But, go back to the 2021 season, for me specifically, like not that I tried to show it to the team, but like I did not have the right attitude. I had to look myself in the mirror after that season and be like, "Hey, you didn't go about your business the right way. Should you have been playing? Yes. Did you, do the work physically to get there? Yes. But were you bought into having a successful team, into winning, into your teammates? I can't tell you that I was in 21. Like I
Right.
just, not that I wanted them to fail, but it was just more of like, if they fail, it's whatever. It wasn't like I wasn't wanting their success, right? And so I saw it firsthand with myself. I was like, hey, I got my handful of opportunities, and I wasn't ready. Like I had put in the work, but I put it in with a bitter attitude. And so it was like you get up there and the game knows and your teammates know you're with them every single day for like 12 hours, right? Like people, like you get those vibes. And so that's what I think the summer, that chonkless summer, like we had a great summer. I had made, some of the best friends of my life on that team. And we won that league, and we were a ragtag group of guys. We were playing in the TCL, which isn't, you know, the most flashy league in terms of college leagues, but it was great for me because I got a chance to sit there and one, get reps that I didn't get the year prior, but two, like look myself in the mirror every day and say, hey, you haven't been your best self. We're not going to let our baseball career end like this. We're going to go back to A&M. We're going to fix this shit, get back. And it was within the first week, I could tell that the people on the team were different. Like we were all there with a common goal. Hey, we're going to win by any means necessary. Like we're all new. We're all at a point in our career where winning is the goal. We had a bunch of older guys that had that inexpensive experience of, hey, like we know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two. This is what success is.
Yep.
And so having that and then buying into it all fall and knowing, at least for me, I was like, hey, I think that I had a really good chance of playing a lot, but even if I don't, I'm here to win games and I'm going to contribute any way that I can, was you know, my attitude going into the locker room every day. And I sincerely believe that it was everybody's attitude. And then come to this season in the spring, whenever we sucked so bad, the first half of the year, pre-conference, it was like everyone, playing or not, was like, hey, I don't care if I'm not playing, let me rephrase that. I do care, we do care that we're not playing, but like,
Yeah.
regardless if we're playing or not, no one's like, no one is, what's the word I'm looking for? Performing to their best abilities. Like, we're here
Yeah.
to win games. Like, that's the bottom line. And we were all bought into that. We're like, hey, we're not good yet. Like, we just need that one break. And then we got it, whether it be the Pringles that set it off for us, whether it just be us clicking together for a weekend and we're like, oh my gosh, we are as good as what we thought, type of thing. And then it just became a deal like, hey, we've struggled through all of this. No one believes in us. So what? We're playing on house money. Like,
Yeah.
let's just go out there and fight our ass off and play for each other. And then you have guys like, JT came in the middle of the season. Like, he didn't play
Yep.
hardly at all the first half of the season. He finally gets a start against Alabama and he kills it in Tuscaloosa, right? And then it was like he still had to fight for that starting role. And then look, everybody looks back at JT's season in 22 and they're like, dang, that guy killed it in Omaha. He played all year. And it's like, no, like this guy, he had to claw out every bit of playing time that he got. You know what I
Yep.
mean? With a good attitude. Like he showed up every day, nose down, and did the deal. And so your teammates know, man. Like I sincerely believe that you're with people long enough, you get vibes. Like they know whenever you're being sincere, whenever you go
Mm.
up to bat. Like for me, I went up to bat and I knew that all of y'all were behind me. Like I just did. You could feel it like in the box. And I can't speak for anybody else, but I would venture to say that everyone else, minus maybe a couple people that you could kind of tell weren't necessarily bought in to the whole point, but we had enough people bought in that they didn't play a factor. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
So
Well,
it
yeah,
was a
man.
good
I think,
year. It was a whole lot of learning.
yeah,
So go ahead. You're good. I'm done.
yeah. I just, yeah, it's special. I just don't think there's a lot of that anymore. And yeah, it's just, it is what it is. I just kind of think society just puts a tag on just individualism, and I've been guilty of it.
Yeah,
And man, once you get to pro ball, dude,
everyone has.
I mean, once you get to pro ball, that's all it is an individual. When you think about it from just an objective standpoint, it's individual. And this is the time of year now where, we just had a ton of moves happen. We had a guy get released, a guy get traded. We had guys go up, guys get called up, guys go down, guys get hurt. And at the end of the day, man, those guys that aren't here anymore, that aren't necessarily concerned with how good the Daytona Tortugas are doing or how much they're winning games. They just care about they just care about am I going up or am I getting sent home? And I think that
Yeah,
such a undervalued tool of professional baseball is if you can still make the game a game and you can still focus on the objective of the game, which is to win baseball games, it's going to only serve you right in your
yeah.
career and in life, as you know. And it's taking that servanthood, Christ like mindset of like, hey, here's the deal. I'm in a situation where everybody could be pouting because I'm not playing much. I'm in a situation where I'm not getting moved up. I'm in a situation where I'm hurt. I'm in a situation, whatever it be. Or I'm in a situation of, hey, I'm playing really well. I'm getting moved up and things are going great. It's a matter of how much you can still make it about the team aspect of it. Because collectively as a group, in the back of your head, it's like, hey, these, front office guys, yeah, I don't know how much they care about us as humans, but at the end of the day, like, yeah, maybe they don't care about us as much as humans as, maybe, A&M did because it was, there's still a
Just
business,
it's
but
a bit. Yeah,
yeah, but it's a business in the sense of they don't care if your buddy's with them. They will walk you into their office and say, hey, you need to go, you're going home, this, that, the other, just as easily as the guy that they don't
yeah,
necessarily like as a person, but the guy that they don't necessarily like as a person is a really good baseball player. He's going to keep going up and making all the money. And I just have always thought that the guys that I
yeah,
see doing really well in professional baseball are the guys that go about it in a very manner that they know how good they are. They have the awareness of what they're doing, but at the same time, they're thinking in a servant mindset of still being, how can I best serve my team today? What does my team need from me to help win the baseball game today? And if you execute that, you're going to keep moving up because that's the nature of the game. Because I mean, you're getting hits, you're getting people out, you're making plays.
yeah,
But I don't know, man, just the servanthood mindset. And I think we'll wrap up there,
yeah. I
man.
think yeah. Hey,
No,
that works
finish,
for
finish.
me, dude.
No,
I
finish,
I
finish,
totally
finish.
agree. We talked about it the other day. Yeah, well, just controlling what you can control, right? And then it takes on different things. You have to learn, different roles that you're in, and like we said the other day, if you're not happy about where you're at right now, the only way to get to where you want to be is to be good where you're at right now. And that
Right.
is the same thing in the business world. Like if you want to get promoted to manager, you can't be a shitty employee. Like it just doesn't work that way. And so doing that, taking that lesson from baseball, using it while you're still there, but whenever you serve people, like it always comes back to you, man. Like it just does. And the way you find out if it does come back to you or not, start, only serving yourself. Because, like, having been there and doing it from time to time throughout my life, like, I can tell whenever I'm like fed up with it, I'm like, you know what, God, maybe you're right. Maybe I should just focus on other people. And then the next thing you know, it's like, oh, dang, like, I feel like my life is so much better. Like I feel like good things are actually happening to me. Not that you do, follow God just because you want good things to happen to you. But whenever you're sincerely serving people, it's just like it's a byproduct of that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so it's the same. I think it's the same thing in everything. And I think you're 100% right on that.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%, man. Well, won't keep you any longer, man. I just appreciate you hopping on again, and it's always a pleasure, dude.
Cool
Always a pleasure.
deal. Yeah,
All right.
man. We thought that the podcast was going to be the same as the other day. I feel like it was same but different.